about young people in particular, this inability to deal with life's problems. Like, I don't know if I did this speech last time, I'll do it again. My favorite movie speech, Rocky Balboa, where he finally has it out with his spoiled brat son. He says, look, life is tough. It will beat you down and keep you down if you let it. The way to win at life is not how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit, get back up, keep moving forward. That's how winning in life is done. And I agree with that.
Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well and that you had a great week. To all of my house guests, I've missed you. I'm in my usual location, in front of the camera, welcoming you to grab yourselves a drink and make yourselves comfortable. If you're passing by and you'd like to become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I'm Chez, this is Chez M0i. Welcome to my place.
The week began with Kensington Palace releasing a video of a 3-minute speech delivered by William's wife to business leaders at the opening of the Future Workforce Summit in London, which mainstream media reported as her first speech since the revelation of her health condition diagnosis in early 2024.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for being here today. I hope you'll find it interesting and insightful. I'm certainly looking forward to it. And we've got some fantastic speakers, so thank you to all of you for your time, support and commitment. I'd also like to take this opportunity to say thank you to Christian, who's led the centre and built many of the relationships here today. Thank you, Christian, for holding the fort, particularly over the last couple of years. So my passion and the work of the Centre for Early Childhood stems from one essential truth, that the love we feel in our earliest years fundamentally shapes who we become and how we thrive as adults. Love is the first and most essential bond, but it's also the invisible thread woven with time, attention and tenderness through consistent nurturing relationships which creates the grounded and meaningful environments around a child. It is this texture, the weave of love, which forms a child's emotional world and becomes the foundation, the very fabric of resilience and belonging. The home should be the space where love, safety and rhythm enable a child to thrive. A loving home ultimately teaches us how to love and how to care. But every environment has the potential to shape our hearts. Every one of you interacts with your own environment, a home, a family, a business, a workforce, a community. These are the ecosystems that you yourselves help to weave. Imagine a world where each of these environments were built on valuing time and tenderness just as much as productivity and success. As business leaders, you'll face the daily challenge of finding the balance between profitability and having a positive impact. But the two are not and should not be incompatible. At the Centre for Early Childhood, we believe that we must do all we can to create the conditions for love to flourish. That is how we invest in our future. Every child deserves respect and safety, and everyone who cares deserves recognition and appreciation. Every act of care creates community because we're all essentially weavers of that same fabric. I believe in restoring the dignity to the quiet, often invisible work of caring, of loving well, as we look to build a happier, healthier society. You are here because you care. So thank you.
Guys, I've listened to this speech 3 times, trying to understand what on earth this woman was talking about. This was not her audience. This was not her audience because William's wife has never run a business. Unless I've missed something, because as I always say, you guys know more than I do. I understand that she worked for her parents' party business, but she's never experienced the stress of running her own business. She's not had the sleepless nights. She's not had the last minute phone calls. She's not had to make ruthless decisions. She's not had cash flow issues. She's not had employee issues. So what makes her qualified to address a room full of business leaders? And furthermore, what does her early years program have to do with them directly? Toddlers are a world away from seasoned, mature business professionals. There was so much weaving going on. I don't know what that means, guys. Whatever you're doing, whether you're working for someone or working for yourself, you always want a positive outcome. You always want to make a positive impact. And this is why I struggled with this speech, because it's like you're telling people what they already know. That's like me with medical knowledge which only extends to taking a first aid training course, telling a group of brain surgeons how to perform brain surgery and advising them that we must aim for a positive outcome. I mean, I'm struggling. Also, if your early years project is so close to your heart and you're so passionate about it as you claim, firstly, why do you need written notes? And secondly, why do you have to refer to those notes so often? Apparently it was 26 times. Why are you not speaking from your heart? What happened to a fluent delivery? Why are you so nervous? You should be able to speak about this very comfortably, but for some reason you can't. And this leads me to believe that her comms team or someone in the firm wants this woman to fail, because there's a pattern of throwing her under the bus, and it's a very interesting theory. Anyway, the main point is that this is not her audience. She's not qualified to speak to them. She's telling them things they already know, and I'm not the only one who thinks that.
Let's talk about something very different. The Princess of Wales made her first public speech in 2 years yesterday. Tom, have we got a little clip of this? Oh, we've got a little bit of you, Leah, for stood up. Really fabulous to see her speaking. Interesting, talking at a business conference, saying it's time for tenderness just as much as productivity and success.
Yes, she's delivering a speech in front of businesses to say, look, it's great that you flog your workers damn hard to produce whatever they've got to produce, but you might want to be nice to them in the process because they might want to stay at the company if they're feeling in good spirits. And that is, of course, absolutely right. You want a happy workforce. You need people who want to turn up to work, who feel that it's a good environment to work in. you also have to have business success to be able to create the environment. So the two need to go hand in hand. So I think that it's a lovely message to say your workforce needs to be happy. Of course they do. But the business needs to be successful in the first place. That I think is pretty fundamental. No?
Yeah, she was also talking about the Centre for Early Childhood and talking about one essential truth, that the love we feel in our earliest years fundamentally shapes who we become. It's a very polished line, but I mean, don't we know that already? Oh, she's never going to put a foot out of line, is she? She knows her role, she plays it beautifully, but I don't think if you're looking for anything hard-hitting, it's going to come from the Princess of Wales.
No.
No, I don't.
Good to see you, though, making that public
Yeah,
for 2 years,
absolutely.
more importantly.
Absolutely.
Thank you both for joining us for the time being. Lots more from Tom.
As I segue into what happened a few days later, I want to clarify the original concept of the word woke to illustrate how a word adopted by one oppressed cohort has been twisted by the oppressive cohort and weaponized against the former, together with other types of oppressed groups. Woke originally meant aware and alert to racism and injustice. The word comes from African American vernacular English. To be woke meant stay aware of the realities of racism, stay alert to threats against black people, pay attention to social and political injustice, don't be lulled into a false sense of security. It was tied to survival, protection, and consciousness, not politics. One of the earliest written uses was in 1938, when blues musician Lead Belly warned listeners to stay woke about racial violence in the South. During the civil rights movement, being awake meant knowing your rights, understanding systemic racism, staying informed, and politically aware. This was actually posted on the 21st of November by an ex-user called F. Lamar in response to the latest offering from Piers Morgan. So, on Wednesday night and Thursday morning, Piers Morgan was back on ITV, appearing on Peston, Lorraine and This Morning to do another round of promotion for his latest publication, released a month ago. He was his usual forceful self, but I noted that he was met with significant resistance during both Thursday's broadcasts. And although listening to him rant and rave was undeniably headache-inducing, I made a bet with myself that he was not going to leave the Lorraine studio, which was his first stop on Thursday, without Meghan's name leaving his mouth. This interview was approximately 9 minutes 52 seconds long, and the overwhelming urge came around the 7-minute mark, with Granny Lorraine, who always likes to give you the impression that she is an all-round champion of women, enthusiastically joining in with the pile-on.
Piers is here. He's talking about his latest book. It's called Woke is Dead. Now, look, Piers Morgan, I might not necessarily agree with absolutely everything in here, but that's okay.
I bet you
that's
did.
the point. No, but that's the point you're making. That's the point you're making, that we should all be allowed.
Huh?
Do people get cancelled now? Does that still
Well, I
happen?
can't be because I now employ myself. So I run my own YouTube channel, Piers Morgan Uncensored, and I'm my boss. And I can tell you right now, wokies, I'm not going to fire myself. So do one.
Are you, as a... Now, I wish you would blink me or get off the fence.
Well, there's going to be no walking out of my YouTube channel, I can tell you. I only walk out of studios here, in this building.
I don't really want you to walk out,
I know.
but I have to say...
I've got to say, it's quite funny because I was on Peston last night.
Where are
in
you?
one of these studios around here.
Right.
I'm doing you now. I'm then going to This Morning. I haven't been on ITV so much since I was on Good Morning Britain. And just for the record, I still don't believe Meghan Markle. So what's that about? How come I'm allowed back in?
That is actually... in the book as well.
24/7.
One of the things I did want to say to you, and I couldn't agree more, and I chuckled when I read it, the truth is the truth, right?
Nobody has my truth.
My truth? When did that be a thing?
What,
my
me?
truth. It's
People
the
like,
truth.
people like Meghan Markle, my truth. No, you don't have your own version of the truth.
No.
Facts don't care about your
Tis the
feelings.
truth.
Right? There are facts, and then there are feelings about facts.
Yeah.
You can't just have your feelings being the new facts.
No.
I'm sorry, there is no my truth.
I was curious to understand why Morgan felt it necessary to return to his former employer to promote his book. On the 2nd of November, he proudly boasted on his Instagram page that he was on the Sunday Times bestseller list. Not at position 1, but at position number 8, ignoring the fact that he came 6 places behind the posthumous memoir of Virginia Giuffre. He also wanted everyone to know that, as a result of him appearing on Peston, Lorraine and This Morning, he managed to garner an additional dizzying 800 sales. That's 800 sales, guys, not even 1,000. Now, if you recall this video I produced a few months ago, you'll understand why Piers thought that being at the bottom end of a list, while a deceased author was close to the top of that list, was a win for him. Let me remind you that Morgan's arch nemesis, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, achieved sales of 1.4 million across the US, the UK and Canada on the first day of release alone. A number that Morgan could only ever fantasize about reaching, even though his product has been on sale for 4 weeks. Morgan's unchanging narrative is one that his audience hears from him all the time, whether it's via his YouTube content, which he transferred to the Channel 5 platform a few months ago but hardly ever mentions, or whether he's being interviewed. Some, understandably, can easily get on board with what Morgan has to say. But when your blind spot, your Achilles heel, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, who lives mortgage-free in your head, unknowingly causes you to say things which are devoid of common sense, especially when she hardly acknowledges your existence, then I think it's fair to say that you've lost a notable section of your audience, because your rhetoric is synonymous with being tiresome and exhausting, particularly when your trademark delivery is overbearing. However, through all his bluster on daytime TV, there is actually one thing I could agree with him on.
I don't know if I did this speech last time. I'll do it again. My favourite movie speech, Rocky Balboa, where he finally has it out with his spoiled brat son. He says, look, life is tough. It will beat you down and keep you down if you let it. The way to win at life is not how hard you can hit. It's how hard you can get hit, get back up, keep moving forward. That's how winning in life is done. And I agree with that.
And this is exactly what Meghan has done. Meghan knows that she is hated, while acknowledging the fact that some of her haters are secretly her fans.
Duchess Meghan's haters are her biggest fans, whether they want to admit it or not. Hi, I'm Anne. For the last 4 years, I've had an online podcast on YouTube called The Duchess of Success. Success, not Sussex. Funny play on words. And it just continues to amaze me after 4 years how Meghan's biggest haters pretend as if she's forcing them to watch her. Meghan actually made light of this in a recent interview that she did with Emily Chang, where she said this.
Are they saying negative things and then secretly going home and making single skillet spaghetti? Possibly.
And yes, believe it or not, they actually are. Maybe not her spaghetti, but definitely her fruit platters.
Go for the gram.
I hate myself.
Mum, I thought you said you hate the Meghan show.
Can have a shot over you. She doesn't have people in her shot.
How do you claim to not like someone and then copy everything that they do? Meghan, girl, you really are the blueprint. And to the haters, just stop it already. Come over to the light side. Come over to the Sussex squad. It's great over here. We're moisturised, we're hydrated, and we're unbothered. We drink rosé and put flower sprinkles all over our food. And Lord knows you probably need a little bit of spice sprinkled over yours.
And we already know that some of those secret admirers, who will never admit that they're superfans, will almost certainly be tuning in to Meghan's Christmas show on Netflix on the 3rd of December, the trailer for which she uploaded to her Instagram page. Now, I'm unable to play the video with the audio because the music runs throughout and I don't want to be in breach of copyright. So if you want to watch the trailer in its proper format, just head over to Meghan's Instagram account. What strikes me about the release of these trailers and Meghan's show in general is that people will level the criticism at her that she's trying to lecture people on how to be a host or a hostess. There are so many new things that I've learned from her shows. When I'm able to facilitate things like dinner parties and family occasions, Meghan is going to be my go-to for tips and tricks, because I trust what she's saying, and everything visually, aesthetically and atmospherically just feels so joyful. So I will definitely be watching this latest installment. We, Meghan's supporters, know how she moves. She doesn't need to tell us what she's doing in advance. She works behind the scenes and delivers the finished product. Case in point, the interview and photo shoot she did with Harper's Bazaar magazine. This article is taken from harpersbazaar.com, published on the 19th of November 2025, and the author is Caitlin Greenidge. Now, being the featured article, expect it to be long. It is a long article, very detailed. It took me about 25 minutes to read it out loud. I'm not going to do that here. I'll link the article in the description box below, but I'll only extract a very small portion, and it relates to her relationship with Harry and her mum. So the headline reads, Meghan's moment. After years of being subsumed by other people's narratives, the Duchess of Sussex is ready to author her own next chapter. Her circle of trust is tight. She puts her hand on her heart when she talks about her husband. He loves me so boldly, fully, and he also has a different perspective because he sees media that I wouldn't, she says. No one in the world loves me more than him, so I know he's always going to make sure that he has my back. With Harry, Meghan explains, you have someone who just has this childlike wonder and playfulness. I was so drawn to that, and he brought that out in me. That translated into every part of our life. Even in business, I want us to play and have fun and explore and be creative. Meghan also credits her mother Doria Ragland with teaching her how to play. As a child, I was very much an old soul, she says. That's been part of my wiring. My mum would say I was just born that way. Her mother, in contrast, was a free spirit, and they were a close duo. The travel agent during part of Meghan's childhood, Ragland would use her employee discounts so they could travel to Mexico for Day of the Dead. Meghan's maternal grandmother, another strong single woman, lived around the corner. It was at her grandmother's that Meghan learned about food. Her mother was not a regular cook, and Meghan remembers most of the food at her table being eaten in haste. Carnation instant breakfast shakes in the morning, deli sandwiches for lunch. Though these were often an attempt to deliver on Meghan's request to have a Subway sandwich like she'd seen in the commercials. Her grandmother, whose family came from Tennessee, had a garden where Meghan helped pick greens and make preserves.
Duchess Meghan just landed the cover of Harper's Bazaar, and sorry to all the haters, irrelevant women do not get global covers in 2025. A cover like this means you're interesting, you're influential, and you're still commanding global attention. Meghan keeps proving she's not going anywhere, much to the distress of the UK tabloids. The cover itself is stripped down, bare, almost you'll take me as I am, but the editorial, absolutely stunning, gorgeous, and I love seeing Meghan in this era. It's polished, soft, controlled, luxurious. It's giving, I survived your noise, and now I choose peace. And my angles. And the interview is the clearest picture of Duchess Meghan that we've seen in a while. She's choosing her project, she's putting up her boundaries, and she doesn't really care what you think about her. She's not reacting to the narrative anymore. She's creating it. And that's why the haters can't stand her. She left the institution, refused to play their game, and she's still getting major covers. She's still making major moves, and she's still cashing major checks. Women who choose themselves always upset those who expect them to stay small. The cover is a message, this era is a flex, and the relevance, well, that speaks for itself. I'm Michaela Ian, and that's The Culture Take.
The power of knowing your audience is arguably rooted in the power of knowing yourself. Not chasing current trends or jumping onto bandwagons of what you think people might like to hear. When you know who you are, when you know what makes you tick, and what makes you tick resonates strongly with your audience, even the haters will show up because they secretly want to be a member of that very same audience.
As we revisit the speech made by William's wife, I'm reminded of an episode of Dragon's Den. I think the equivalent in the US is Shark Tank. The episode of Dragon's Den I watched was with Emma Grede because she used to be a dragon. I'm not sure for how long, but I think it was quite brief. And I was trying to imagine, had Emma been in that business conference, I suspect she would have not been impressed at all. I don't think she would have even clapped. Take out of the equation that she is a friend of Meghan's. Let's leave that to one side. Emma Grede is a formidable character. I don't know how, with 4 children, she has been able to have a successful business. I believe it's a multi-million dollar business, Good American. I'd imagine she has others, but I'm not sure. Good American springs to mind. She's had to juggle 4 children, being attentive to her husband, all the normal tasks that come with being a wife and a mother, as well as being a successful businesswoman. It's all about balance. Do you think William's wife could say what she said with Emma in the room? Had I been Emma, had I been in that room, I would have found it insulting, because again, how are you going to tell me as a business person how to achieve successful outcomes, implying that there's no love in what I do? You have to treat people empathetically, sympathetically in some cases when you're talking about business. Because it's not always about the money. It's about building long-term relationships. In business, there has to be a balance of understanding but firmness. Okay? It can't just all be sweetness and light and, we have to be ever so loving. That's not what business is about. I suspect William's wife chose the incorrect words, or they were chosen for her. It just didn't add up, guys. And as I said, for someone, you can't address a conference like that without any knowledge of having run a business. And even with that, this is why I shook my head when people laughed about Meghan's second podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder, because she wanted to gain insight and share those insights of other female entrepreneurs who had gone through the highs and lows of starting a business. She was doing her research. See, she didn't just come and present her business with all the knowledge, and she did her research behind the scenes, and she's come with her brand. We're coming to the end of 2025. Can you imagine the turnover of that business already? It's not even been a year. Meghan would have been better placed to address that conference, but I suspect Meghan herself would have felt she was not qualified simply because she has not had the length of time in the business, even though it is successful. You have to know your audience. And that's why I wanted to have the conversation today, because I don't know what Kensington Palace think they're doing. William's wife has not found her groove, and time is running out. She shouldn't be this nervous after all these years. Not to say she should be a professional public speaker, but she should be able to command a room and not be apprehensive about it. Clearly, she's not had much practice. I think Morgan we can leave to one side. I don't think we need to cover anything that he's doing again, because what more can you say about him? Nothing. And Meghan continues to go from strength to strength because she knows her audience. Her content and what she produces is not for everybody. She knows who her audience is, and she knows that they will continue to rock with her regardless of the noise. It doesn't matter. And finally, before I go, I want to thank you, my audience, my community. It's because of you why YouTube last week sent me these items. An umbrella with the YouTube logo. What I call a bum bag, which I needed a new one. He sent me that. And a personalised postcard. It's not quite a silver plaque, but it's good enough. And it came in its own YouTube box. Guys, it's because of you, my audience of house guests who continue to show up every single Sunday. We are a group of like-minded people who have similar ideas and similar insights into what's going on with Meghan, with the royal family, etc. I'm not just going to come on here and talk out of the top of my head. I want you guys to think about what's going on and consider other alternatives, other perspectives. And that's why it's humbling for me to receive recognition from YouTube, because they've seen how you guys engage. I'm a micro channel, guys. There are much bigger channels than me speaking about Harry and Meghan and what's going on with the royal family. But for some reason they chose me because they see your engagement, how we interact, the type of content, the work that goes into the content. And they actually chose me to attend a workshop. For those of you who were with me in 2024, at the end of last year, you may recall that I went to a YouTube event, and this was in North London, and I did a video from there. A few months later, they asked me to go on a workshop because they could see the channel. It was, in their words, it stood out. That's not for me to say. But they've recognised that, guys, and the validation is very humbling. It was completely unexpected, and I have you guys to thank for that. You, my house guests, I have you to thank for that. And I enjoy producing these videos. Once a week, maybe the odd one or two here and there. That's what I can manage, because if I do more than that consistently, I'm going to face burnout and I'm not going to enjoy it anymore. And that's why I'm happy for my channel to grow steadily, not quickly, Because guys, if you didn't know already, I prefer quality over quantity, and I know my audience is quality. So I want to say a big thank you to all of you who've been supporting this channel from the Jeremy Clarkson days until now. I just want to continue to bring you quality content and continue to make you think, guys, because really they don't want us to think, they want us to accept what's going on. I'm not prepared to do that, and I know you are not prepared to do that. With that said, if your thoughts were provoked in any way, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I want to take this opportunity to thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and you shall catch me in the next video.